gentlemen, welcome to the Florida Holocaust Museum's To Life 2025 Illuminate and Advocate. We ask you all to please rise for the presentation of colors by Admiral Farragut Color Guard and remain standing for our national anthem.
Left, face. Present, arms.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can take your seats. Thank you so much. My name is Jason Alpert, and I will be your MC throughout the program this evening. What you will see is there is a few times throughout the program that we will ask for complete silence. And when we ask for complete silence, I can promise you it will be at the most important parts of the program. But this right here is one of those times that I would ask for complete silence, please. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could do me a favor, if the person to your right is talking, if you could turn to them and just give them a polite shh. And we're sitting at circle tables, so I shouldn't have to ask anyone to turn to the left and do the same thing, right? Understand that, as I mentioned, there's only a few times throughout the program that we will ask for complete silence. And when we ask for complete silence, I can promise you it will be at the most important parts of the program. This is one of those times, though, as we get a chance to start to begin our program. Illuminate and advocate. You're going to hear stories of how the Florida Holocaust Museum is illuminating and advocating throughout the evening tonight. You're going to understand the work they're doing in this community, and by this community, I mean far stretching outside the Tampa Bay area, because the community that we support is not just here within our counties and areas borders. You're going to hear the work the Florida Holocaust Museum is doing in the region, in the country, and worldwide. I will tell you there's many different generations that we talk about here. There's generations in this room of generations of families who have supported the Florida Holocaust Museum for many, many years, including mine. You'll also hear the stories of the 2 Gs and the 4 and 3 Gs who have the ancestors, the Holocaust survivors, and they will tell their stories, including some 1 Gs in the room with us here this evening. And to start those stories, to welcome you all in, it's my opportunity to introduce the co-chairs for this evening's event. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andrea Silverman and Dana Justus.
Good evening, everyone. We are so honored to stand before you tonight to welcome you to the Florida Holocaust Museum's 2025 To Life Gala. My name is Dana Justus, and on behalf of myself and my co-chair, Andrea Silverman, we want to express our heartfelt gratitude to you all for being here this evening. We are incredibly grateful for those who have so generously sponsored this gala. Your support ensures that the Florida Holocaust Museum can continue to illuminate the lessons of the Holocaust and inspire future generations to advocate for a more empathetic and compassionate world.
Thank you to our platinum sponsor, Brent and Debbie Sembler. Thank you, visionary sponsor, Sandy Loebenberg-Mermelstein and Kent Scooter Bontley. And thank you, champion sponsors, Duke Energy, Shauna and Brian Glazer, Raymond James Financial, the Rothman Family Foundation, Slide Insurance, and Rachel and Don Worthington.
And a final heartfelt thank you to the remarkable To Life Committee, museum staff, and volunteers for their commitment and enthusiasm. Their collective talent and dedication have been instrumental in bringing us together tonight.
This year's theme, Illuminate and Advocate, is deeply personal for Dana and me. We are both granddaughters of Holocaust survivors. Our grandparents endured unimaginable horrors. My grandmother, Helen, was 11 years old when the war started, the same age as my oldest daughter, and she hid in a barn for over a year. She reminded us often how lucky we were to have the simple privilege of attending school. She was a lifelong learner who never got to finish elementary school. She married my grandfather, Max, right after the war. He survived by living on the run, oftentimes hiding in the woods for weeks. Yet, they had the strength to rebuild their lives. They passed down their stories to us, not only as memories, but as powerful lessons. They taught us that remembering is not passive. It is an intentional responsibility to transform pain into purpose. Dana and I honor our grandparents by carrying their lessons forward, using their memories as a foundation for action. The hatred and prejudice that fueled the atrocities of the Holocaust are still with us today. And that's why the work of the Florida Holocaust Museum is so important. The museum educates and inspires the next generation of upstanders, individuals who speak out against injustice, advocate for others, and refuse to be silent so that history never repeats itself.
Like Andrea, my grandparents were forced to flee their homes when they were just children. My grandfather's family turned everything they owned over to the Nazis in order to leave Austria, while my grandmother's parents made the unimaginable decision to put her and her little brother, when they were 11 and 7, on a kinder transport train to what they only hoped would be relative safety in England and Wales. Her family was miraculously reunited after 6 years later in New York, but she never forgot that the vast majority of Jewish children were not nearly as lucky. As a result, both of my grandparents always emphasized the critical importance of education as the most important weapon that we have against intolerance and hate. And they dedicated the last decades of their lives to sharing these experiences. My grandmother in particular was incredibly devoted to the Florida Holocaust Museum and told her story to thousands of visitors and students over the years. She would be so proud of her beloved museum today as it enters a momentous new chapter in its mission to teach the inherent worth and dignity of human life in order to prevent future genocides.
This theme of illumination is not just about remembering. It's about using that light created by memories and education to guide us forward. And it's about advocacy, ensuring that the stories of our families and all Holocaust victims and survivors continue to be known and understood, so we can build a world of empathy and compassion. Thank you again for being here tonight to support the Florida Holocaust Museum's commitment to educate and empower future generations of upstanders. And now we are excited to show you a video of the lasting impact that the museum is making in our community.
Teachers have a critical role to play, because if the children aren't learning about the Holocaust, learning about this kind of group action in their homes, the school is the place where they really need to do it.
We just finished up our second day of our Speak Up, Speak Now program, and we are talking about the U.S. response to the Holocaust. There's still anti-Semitism today, and many students may not be aware of its origins. They may not be aware that anti-Semitism has been around for a really long time, and so it's very important for them to know about that.
Most of my students don't know very much about the Holocaust, and I've noticed over the years that they know less and less.
I started teaching a one-semester academic elective. I would take a group of students to the museum each semester. My students typically don't know much before using these Florida Holocaust Museum resources.
My experience with the Florida Holocaust Museum started in 2022. When I took a course, and I remember saying, well, now in virtual, how am I going to do this, right? They said, well, you could do virtual, actually. You can do virtual. And I heard that, and it was like, oh, the door's open, possibilities.
Holocaust education is critical. One of the things that we've tried to do in this country for years is to recognize that all people are people.
What really stood out to me was they were just like regular people. Like the first video that was ever introduced to us, the first thing that was ever shown to us, and they were just having a nice life. They were just normal people like everyone else.
I reached out to the Florida Holocaust Museum looking for something to extend the program that we did here with the book Night. Night is one of those books that are hard to teach because it's such a graphic book, but I think that's also why it's such an important book to teach, because the students need a non-fiction version of the Holocaust. They don't need a fictionalized thing of something of that horrendousness.
His classroom was an event. Professor Wiesel would open the classroom for questions, comments from their fellow students, and students were sometimes surprised and were some agitated because they came to the classroom to hear a great orator, and what they were getting was their fellow students. But for those who were willing to set aside those presuppositions, what we all learned from Professor Wiesel was how to listen.
The Holocaust Museum is making sure that we will continue to have witnesses and have people who are learning about Professor Wiesel and telling more people about this.
With the Elie Wiesel collection, the shipment included just under 800 boxes of materials. So that is the current collection that we're dealing with at this time.
We need to keep that history alive. We need to keep that history in dialogue. We have to do what we need to do to bear witness, as Elie Wiesel says, to this atrocity so that it's never repeated.
I want to make sure that I can do everything in my power to make sure nothing like that ever happens again.
We rely on the generosity of our community and the generosity of others to continue to provide these resources all over. It's very important work, more important now than ever.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the board chair of the Florida Holocaust Museum, Josh Bomstein.
I want to start with a thank you to Andrea and Dana. We want to recognize your leadership as co-chairs of To Life. You make this evening possible because of your vision, your time, and your dedication, and we're deeply grateful to both of you and all that you do for the museum. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we have some gifts for you, I believe, maybe later. We do have gifts for you, but they come later. So in early 2016, Mike Igel called me, and he asked if I would consider joining him on the Holocaust Museum board. And I remember his exact words. He said to me, "I hope you'll consider joining me on the board. It's great work, and I promise we will have as much fun as you can have on a Holocaust Museum board. And as usual, he was right. It's been incredibly meaningful and even fun at times. That being said, when I agreed to join the board, I never could have imagined the events that would unfold in our world that would further elevate and emphasize the importance of this work and the mission of the museum. It's been my great honor to volunteer on the board, and serving as chair this particular year has given me the unique opportunity to participate in the museum's biggest growth period in its history. A few weeks ago, I was speaking with Ursula Szapinska. I don't know if all of you know who Ursula is, but she's a longtime team member at the museum and director of education and research, and she said to me, "This is the most exciting time at the museum since I've been here." And she says that having been at the museum for over 20 years, so she knows. And I agree wholeheartedly and could not be more excited for the future of the museum. Despite being closed, our physical site is under construction, is temporarily closed for the past many months, our incredibly devoted and creative staff and volunteers have been busier than ever. They're hosting virtual tours, they're bringing educational programming to teachers in classrooms, and a variety of programming to our members and our community partners. They are cataloging Professor Elie Wiesel's collection. They're finalizing the conservation of Thor, our Danish rescue boat, and planning for the museum's reopening activities later this year. So there's a lot happening. And in this busy and important moment, your support means more than ever. For more than 30 years, the museum has been able to fulfill its mission and grow because of the kindness of all of you in this room tonight. Your generosity to the museum during To Life represents a significant portion, 1/4 to be exact, of our annual operating budget. So when we tell you that we could not do what we do without you, we mean it quite literally. On behalf of the board of directors and museum staff, I express our gratitude and appreciation to our sponsors and donors and to everyone who will be giving this evening. Speaking of support, we are beyond grateful to the state of Florida, who has shown a consistent, unwavering commitment to the museum. And in addition to the state, we're forever indebted to Pinellas County and the city of St. Petersburg for their support as well. And with that, I would like to thank our elected officials, several of whom are with us tonight, so please stand as I say your names. Representative Linda Cheney. Representative Bernie Jocks. County Commissioner Chris Latvala. The Honorable Pamela Campbell. And last, but most certainly not least, our hometown, City of St. Petersburg Mayor Ken Welch. Thank you all for what you have made possible in the transformation of our facility and our ongoing education of students and teachers across the state. Now I want to tell you about an individual who has made a lasting impact on the museum, and this person is our first honoree this evening as recipient of the Legacy Award. This annual award recognizes someone whose efforts and commitment have made the mission of the museum possible. In March of 2019, the museum sought proposals from multiple companies to provide owners' representation services for management of the design and construction of the renovation and expansion of the museum, the construction that's happening now. The proposals all came back from 5 or 6 firms, suggesting fees ranging from around $100,000 to well over $200,000. And this was for what was envisioned at that time to be 18 months of service, carry us through the design and permitting, and then the construction. Well, one of those firms was an extremely qualified individual whose proposal offered to provide the services free of charge. And we're no fools, so we hired him. That was 2019, and we're now 6 years later, and this person has engaged with us continuously, helping not only with the construction project, but with anything and everything related to the physical building of the museum and its maintenance. At the time of hiring him in 2019, we didn't know everything that was going to happen. We didn't know we would be hit with a pandemic, nor did we know we would need stronger security than ever. Nor did we know we would have a precious 34-foot boat to put inside of the building. Nor did we know we would have an introductory exhibit of Professor Wiesel's office to plan for. And with each one of these significant changes, he adapted with a smile and great hair. You'll see the hair in a moment. He helped make the work possible. And over those 6 years and many hours, he never submitted a single invoice. And multiple times over those years, I asked him to please send us a proposal or an invoice. I told him that there was no way he ever intended to donate so much of his time. And every time I asked him, he refused. And he told me without hesitation, his words, "I will never charge the museum a penny." I never imagined he would donate every hour of his service and leadership at no cost. His generosity has literally saved the museum hundreds of thousands of dollars. And until recently, I did not know his personal family connection to our mission. In 1939, his maternal grandmother, Magdalena Miriam Braun, escaped Romania and the horrors of the Holocaust on, yes, you might guess it, a boat. His family is here this evening to celebrate him as his work enables us to share his grandmother's story and all of the survivors' stories for generations to come. Please join me in recognizing him for his countless hours of service to the museum and showing all of us how impactful one person's generosity can be to so many. Our legacy honoree this evening is Mr. Judah Rubin.
I'll be brief. I'll tell the rest of the story. So in 2019, when Josh Bomstein reached out to me and asked if I had an interest in working with the Holocaust Museum, he shared that it had been a rewarding experience and a rewarding organization, thought I'd be a good fit for the owner's rep role for the upcoming security entrance project for the museum. A line I now realize he's recycled. So when I received the RFP, I'll admit my immediate reaction was to start developing an opinion of process and schedule. These are really the first steps for me to put together a proposal. How much time is it going to take? What jurisdiction are we permitting something in? Essentially, it's a number of time, it's how many hours. What Josh couldn't have realized when he sent me the RFP was that at the time I was sitting in a house outside of Cape Town, South Africa. I was there with the majority of my immediate family, celebrating my nephew's bar mitzvah. So I sat there with my laptop open, watching Cousins talk and laugh. Kids go out for walks on the beach and share meals together. Something that's rare when you consider that my 3 sisters and me all have families, all of our own, separated by quite a few time zones, most of the time. I thought about my mother and the sacrifices her parents made, to flee Europe during the Holocaust by buying safe passage on a boat that brought them to Palestine. I thought about what might not have been while seeing my mother revel in the moment. You see, other than my grandparents, only one other member of my mother's family survived. A story that unfortunately gets repeated over and over as we recount Holocaust history. So I sent an email back to the museum with my CV, a resume for you young people in the room, and offered my services for the project. No bid, no spreadsheet, just the resume and the offer to help where I'm able. All right, I admit, I didn't expect it would take more than 5 years to get here. The bar mitzvah boy, by the way, is in college right now. But who could have predicted the pandemic and the time that's passed since? Truthfully, who could have also predicted the support we've received from the government leaders, the private donors to continue to fund so that we could dream a little bigger? And in one of those Bashert moments for me personally, who could have expected that we'd be making a room for a rescue boat in the museum? I realize I'm being recognized for my efforts here tonight, but to be honest, it's always felt like a small thing. The work that I do for the museum is something that I do every day, and I have been for the better part of 25 years. I am fortunate to have the support of my family and coworkers that understand the commitment, but it's never really been a burden. So it made me think of what I might share with you in this room tonight, and I'll leave you with this. We've got a room full of talented and resourceful individuals. I'd simply ask, what's the small thing that you can do? It doesn't need to be a grand gesture or a broad sweeping change. Do the small thing to help eliminate anti-Semitism. Do the small thing to reduce hate that we see in our society. Donate, offer your time, engage in conversation. And as the old saying goes, pick the low-hanging fruit. It'll grow back. You can pick it again. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2025 Legacy Award recipient, Judah Rubin. We could have kept Judah on stage for a few more seconds to feel those applause, to feel the love. I see people in tears in the room right now, understanding whether it's little or whether it's Judah big, do what you can do for the Florida Holocaust Museum. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we get set now for our dinner break, I've got a few housekeeping announcements for you. Number one, if you haven't already done so, please look into our Insta-buys this evening. The Insta-buys, there's 2 of them. They're all done through your phones using that link you got when you checked in. The 2 different Insta-buys. The first one, for $100, you enter for the opportunity to win 36 bottles of fine wine. We're going to pick one winner at the end of the night. We're not selling more than 200 opportunities. The other opportunity is called Dine Around Tampa Bay. $2,500 worth of restaurant gift cards for $100 opportunity for you all. So pull out your phones, click on that link, and please enter. We will pick our winner at the end of the program. We're also going to send people table to table to offer those to you throughout the program as well. We want to thank some of our branded sponsors here this evening. The bar is sponsored by Mesra Financial. Your table wine sponsored by Canopy Builders. We thank them for that. The centerpieces from Bright Bay Builders. The desserts, the Raise Rowdies Foundation. And the hospitality baskets, Oriana Solutions. So thank you to that as well. Now, as we wrap up this part of the program, I leave you with 2 final comments. First, if you're not registered through Qtego, they are our mobile bidding and donating platform. There's going to be folks in bright orange shirts walking around the room during our dinner break. Please flag them down. Get registered so you can be part of the fundraising program later on this evening. And secondly, during our dinner break, and our friends from the Vinoy can start bringing out dinners as they see fit, during the dinner break, you'll turn your attention to the screens, and you'll see videos and pictures of Thor's restoration, the journey to get it to the museum, the arrival and the catalog of Professor Wiesel's archives, and different activities that the museum has gone through during the past year. With that, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your dinner. We'll be back with the rest of the program in just a little while. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to move on with our program. If you're standing up in a conversation right now, we invite you to please take your seats. Our goal is to be respectful of everyone's time tonight, knowing that we're here to be with our friends, our family, our fellow supporters of the Florida Holocaust Museum. But ladies and gentlemen, if you could help me out once again, if the person to your right is talking, if you turn to them and give them a polite shh. And once again, if the person to your left is talking, if you turn to them and give them a polite shh. Thank you so much. I mentioned there'd only be those few times throughout the program that we ask for complete silence, and they really are the most important parts of the program. Our theme this evening changes each year, but always under the umbrella of To Life. This year, it's Illuminate and Advocate. We saw stories earlier on in the program of illuminating our mission, but now we turn our attention to advocating. Those who don't know and understand history, as they say, are doomed to repeat it. So we ask you to turn your attention to our screens to see what the Florida Holocaust Museum is doing to ensure we never forget.
Do you know the greatest number of people during the Holocaust were bystanders who had an opportunity to say something, do something, but did nothing? How do I help these young people realize you don't have to be a bystander?
Ever since I was little, I had a passion to help people, and I kind of saw the world in a different lens, where I saw the pain that people were suffering, and instead of ignoring it, I wanted to help those people.
Being an advocate doesn't have to be a profound action. And I really try and impress this upon the people that I give tours to. We talk about being upstanders in our tours. So quite simply put, making good choices.
There's plenty of hate to go around everywhere we go, and it has consequences. Thoughts lead to words, words lead to actions, and actions are choices. The Holocaust was choices by ordinary people to go after other ordinary people.
What I try to do is, as a docent, we talk about four things. We spend a lot of time, of course, on the victims. We talk about the perpetrators, the Nazis, and those that collaborated with the Nazis. And we talk about the bystanders. And then, most importantly, we talk about the upstanders. We try to explain to the students how important these upstanders were, the things they did, how hard it was, but they made all the difference.
This was a dream I've had for 20, 25 years, to have a rescue boat juxtapositioned from the boxcar.
The boxcar is about death. And Thor is about survival, about hope. People were saved by regular people of Denmark who took it upon themselves, who risked their own lives to save Jewish life.
I think it's the responsibility of the museum and our partners to keep this idea alive and keep the boat as it is, not to make it look modern and covered over with gloss, but to keep the object and the story as original as it can be.
I've asked many teachers, what do you talk about when you get on the bus after you leave the museum? Oh, we talk about what we just saw. We can't believe some of the things we saw. And especially when we hear a speaker talk, when we see a Holocaust survivor get up there and talk about what happened to them, it is such an impression on them. They're just overwhelmed. I want that. I want them to be overwhelmed. I want them to go and talk about it.
I personally think everyone should go through a curriculum of that sort, even if it's only for one semester, which is what I did. Being able to immerse yourself and fundamentally understand what a plague in human history that event really was, and the repercussions that it has even to today, is something everyone should know. There's a phrase, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. I believe that in full.
We have to keep telling the story, even for our own children and our own grandchildren, but we have to keep telling the story to any and everybody, because we can't forget.
There is no doubt the theme is so fitting. Illuminate and advocate. We ask both of those things of you here this evening. And there may be no one here in this room, no one's family here in this room, who has done more illuminating and advocating than the founders of the Florida Holocaust Museum. And as we go into the part of the program now where we present the Loebenberg Award, named in honor of the founder, we have the chance to have not only a member of his family, but a member of the Holocaust Museum family make that presentation for us. Not only representing the Loebenberg family, a member of the To Life Gala Committee, the Florida Holocaust Museum Advisory Committee, and a former museum staffer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sandy Loebenberg-Mermelstein.
Thank you, thank you. Good evening, friends. For more than 30 years, nearly every student who visited the Florida Holocaust Museum had the profound opportunity to meet a Holocaust survivor. These interactions left an indelible mark, as evidenced by the thousands of letters we have received from these visitors over the years. Today, our survivor population has dwindled, and such encounters have become increasingly rare. In their absence, we are seeing a troubling rise of anti-Semitism. Across the country, we witness students protest against their fellow students at our finest universities without understanding the issues. We have painfully learned that inclusion does not include Jews. Should we be surprised? History has shown us this pattern time and again. Yet for the post-World War II generation, we foolishly believed that never again meant never again. Hitler was one man, an evil man, but the atrocities of the Holocaust were committed by humanity against the Jews. And today, that ignorance is growing atrocities. According to a recent Wall Street Journal article, approximately half of adults worldwide hold anti-Semitic beliefs and deny the historical facts of the Holocaust. Shockingly, 50% under 35 believe that Jews are responsible for most of the world's wars. The Anti-Defamation League has called this a global emergency. The primary source of this information? Platforms like TikTok and Instagram. How do we counter the flood of misinformation in this age of boundless digital access? We must remain diligent and relevant. We must leverage the same tools that our youth use. That is precisely what tonight's honoree is striving to do. It is my privilege to introduce Tal-Or Cohen Montemayor. She is the proud granddaughter of a generation that dreamed about and struggled for the state of Israel from all corners of the diaspora. She's on the planet today because those grandparents fought for the right to a homeland. She is married to the love of her life, Avner, whose family was conversos. She loves animals and is cat mom to Spock, which is a fabulous name, and Chance. In her spare time, she scuba and free dives, enjoys horseback riding, reads about astrology, and meditates. She is the founder and executive director of Cyberwell, the first ever open database dedicated to fighting online anti-Semitism. Tal-Or is an expert in digital social media platforms, hate speech, and extremism. Her work focuses on tackling online anti-Semitism, influencing social media hate speech policies, and advocating for hate crime reporting and legislation. Utilizing cutting-edge methodologies and technologies in big data management, machine learning, and lexicon development. Tal-Or has led a number of open source intelligence research projects, providing analysis and consulting services. She hosts the Eradicate Hate Global Initiative. This groundbreaking summit brings together leaders from the public and private sectors, researchers, activists, lawyers, and technology experts to unite against hate and extremism. The summit fosters collaboration and has created a global network of individuals and organizations committed to this vital work. These efforts are vital not only in combating anti-Semitism, but also addressing anti-Muslim extremism and the spread of hatred targeting other communities. Like the Florida Holocaust Museum, Cyberwell uses survivor testimonies and personal experiences to humanize the devastating impact of hate on individuals and communities. Together, we share a vision of a world where education and advocacy can extinguish the flames of hatred. This vision is more important now than it has been in our lifetimes. It is with great humility and gratitude that I present Tal-Or Cohen Montemayor with the museum's highest honor, the Loebenberg-Mermelstein Award. Now, normally we do a great big award that's very heavy, and evidently Tal-Or could not get it in her suitcase. You know, it didn't go through security. So we did something different for her this year. We bought her these beautiful earrings from Shapiro's that will hopefully fit in her suitcase. And if you don't like them, you can return them. But on behalf of the museum and myself and my family, thank you very much for your unwavering dedication and your tireless work in trying to make the world a better place and more inclusive for everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2025 Florida Holocaust Museum Loebenberg Award winner, Tal-Or Cohen Montemayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you to the committee. It's an honor to be with you all here tonight. I had the pleasure of being here for the first time at last year's To Life Gala and was struck by the clear excitement and passion that this community shares for the great Florida Holocaust Museum and everything it represents. A living commitment to remain engaged with the lessons of our past to inform our present, a quest to learn and to relearn the stories of unsung heroes so that we can empower our own voices, and a joint commitment to honor those who perished in a chapter of great darkness to ensure that our future can be brighter. So it is an honor to be recognized this evening by the Loebenberg Humanitarian Award Committee and by this very special community tonight. And I want to say that this is not only the work that I can do at Cyberwell because of myself, but because of my team based in Israel, so this is also for you guys. And since I'm speaking to a room of folks and leaders who can recognize the power of learning from our history, I want to share a lesson of the past that has very much informed my present. It's why I started Cyberwell, and it's what still inspires me today to fight for a safer digital future as if my life and the life of an entire people depended on it. And this lesson, like many lessons, is one that can be taught in part by numbers. 200,000 to 600,000. That's the range of published copies of Der Stürmer, a tabloid newspaper known for its virulent anti-Semitism and propaganda leading up to the election of the Nazi Party in 1933. 1.7 million copies. That's the approximate circulation of the Völkischer Beobachter, the official newspaper of the Nazi Party. Approximately 4.5 million. That's the number of radios that were in German homes by 1932, before the election of the Nazis and prior to the Nuremberg laws that ghettoized and sanctioned entire swaths of the population because of their identity, because they were Jews. Before. This was before the Nazis came to power. And what would happen if there were 600 million Weimar Republic radios distributed worldwide? What would before look like then? And where was I before Cyberwell? It was right after the Tree of Life synagogue shooting that I made the decision to leave practicing law. I thought to myself, this is not what the Jewish people need right now, another lawyer. This is also not everything that the girl who grew up listening to stories of how her father was beaten and blackmailed and bullied in the Soviet Union could do. This was not what the girl who listened to stories of how her mother was attacked in New York City public schools for refusing to denounce the state of Israel. This was not all that girl could do. And thankfully, because of my background as an American at the time in Israel, I was able to pivot into the coveted field of open source intelligence, which would send me into a journey, peeling back the veneer to reveal just how bad the anti-Semitic underbelly of the United States had become. But extremists intoxicated with bad ideas in their dead-end lives wasn't what ended up scaring me the most. You see, during the time as I was leading these large-scale research projects, I would see a very clear migration of deeply anti-Semitic conspiracy theories from our darker corners of the internet to the mainstream everyday social media platforms, reaching wider audiences than ever before. I saw the QAnon conspiracy theory make the same jump online from dark corners to mainstream social media platforms, gripping American communities, ripping families apart, and bringing people who believe themselves to be patriots to do things that they never thought they would ever do. I saw this ancient hate seep into the favorite apps of our teenagers and children, and I could not help but think of 600,000 copies of Der Stürmer and 4.5 million radios of the Weimar Republic in Germany before the rise of the Nazis. And now I want you to think for a second with me. Today, 1 in 3 is the number of Jews who, after experiencing online anti-Semitism, will take active steps to hide their identity. 2.6 million is the number of times a sample of Holocaust denial content was viewed on social media platforms in 2024, according to CyberWell data. 25,465,000. That's the number of accounts that were potentially exposed to the hashtag Hitler was right on the platform X alone following the Hamas attacks on October 7th. 25,489,000, the number of a sample data set, the number of views for content denying the atrocities of October 7th over the course of a few short weeks. 600 million active monthly users on the platform formerly known as Twitter. 1.04 billion monthly global users on TikTok. 2.49 billion monthly active users on Google's YouTube, and approximately 3 billion on Meta's platforms, Facebook and Instagram. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how we got here last time. And I say we because it is a mistake, and in fact a sin, when learning the lessons of the Shoah, of the Holocaust, to think that's something that happened back then over there. You see, the Holocaust actually started with what today in the online world would have been called a campaign. And the Holocaust could not have culminated into the largest genocide in history without a campaign of hate as its prelude. A society full of people like you and me could not have turned on their neighbors and their friends without first being fed a steady diet of hate, blame, and being psychologically primed to see those neighbors and friends as not quite like them, having a different agenda, or just a little less human. Will we continue to allow the most powerful and intelligent algorithms of our time to feed us and our children this same diet of hate? I could not accept that, which is why I started CyberWell. And I am inspired by communities of people like you and institutions like the Florida Holocaust Museum who won't accept it either. Through our budding new partnership with the Florida Holocaust Museum and with your help here tonight, CyberWell is taking this lesson from the prelude of the darkest chapter of our history and making sure it is an agent of illumination. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2025 Loebenberg Humanitarian Award recipient, Tal-Or Cohen, Montemayor. And now, please welcome to the stage the Interim CEO and Board Chair Emeritus, Mike Igel.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. As some of you may know, I became a father a little less than a month ago. Even as someone motivated every day by Holocaust history, after my daughter was born, the question of how to make the Holocaust lessons live on became more intensely personal than it's ever been for me. This new phase in life reminds me of a recent panel event where an audience member asked me, amidst all this anti-Semitism, how do I raise a proudly Jewish child? He worried they would grow up ashamed or afraid to be Jewish. And he's not the only person who's asked me that question over the past year. Let that sink in for a minute. What parent should ever feel the need to ask that question? Close your eyes and think of the victims of the Holocaust. How would that question make them feel? My response? First, it's in part because of anti-Semitism that I feel so strong about raising a proud Jewish daughter. And second, I'm doing everything I can to ensure that my daughter grows up in a world with less anti-Semitism than the one that I grew up in. And we all have a lot of work to do to get there. The current explosion of Jew hatred has been hard to experience, and not just because of the hateful acts themselves. It's seeing how comfortable the perpetrators feel and watching too many people equivocate on or even defend obvious anti-Semitism. People have asked me if I'm surprised at how bad the situation has become. Honestly, I'm not, because I've long said that anti-Semitism is always lurking underneath, just waiting for the opportune moment to reemerge. What did shock me, though, was the speed and the intensity with which it came this time. It's as if people were already harboring that anti-Semitism and they were looking for the opportunity to let it out. As ever, not all anti-Semites want Jews dead. Many just want us to go away, to be gone from their state or country, gone from positions of authority, gone from culture, just invisible. They want to eliminate Jewish pride. And the fact that people are asking how to raise proud Jewish children is sad evidence that anti-Semites are, to some degree, successful at making Jews go away. We saw this same phenomenon as the Holocaust unfolded. The Nazis didn't just try to eliminate Jews and Jewishness, they tried to make Jews so socially toxic that when the violence started, people would be embarrassed or afraid to defend them. Publicly burning synagogues, humiliating Jews on the street, and disseminating anti-Semitic propaganda were all designed to isolate and intimidate Jews, removing them as a component of public life. And tragically, it worked. Look at photos of Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, and you'll see people watching passively as their Jewish neighbors were attacked and their homes and businesses were looted and destroyed. Does that sound familiar? Turn on your TV and you can see the same phenomenon now. Anti-Semitism, whether through intimidation or social pressure, is designed to create perpetrators and bystanders. Today, think of all the people who have aided anti-Semitism with action or with inaction. The Holocaust taught us that what happens when much of the non-Jewish world sits idly as anti-Semitism runs rampant. And as I look at the world today, I wonder if people have learned enough. But there is a flip side. The Holocaust also taught us, and the past year affirmed, that anti-Semitism exists because everyone, the victim, the perpetrator, and the bystander. So it takes everyone to solve it. Jews are a small minority, and we need allies to ensure that anti-Semites become an even smaller minority. If you're not Jewish and you wonder whether your acts matter, look no further than me. I, and now my daughter, exist because a non-Jewish couple, Michal and Katerina Garula, risked everything to hide my grandparents, and they were eventually executed for not giving up their whereabouts. So for those in the room tonight who have stepped up on a consistent basis to fight anti-Semitism, from the bottom of my heart and so many others, thank you for channeling the memory of the Garulas. If you're wondering what you would have done in those times, you can ask yourself right now because it's happening right in front of you. Genocide does not need to be a precondition for people to act with humanity. At the same time, Jews must do our part, and we're not short of inspiration. When it gets tough, think of all the people in the concentration camps and the ghettos who held Shabbat and holiday services. Think of those who prayed or shouted defiantly at the Nazis on their way to the gas chambers. Our current situation pales in comparison to theirs. And if they could do it then we can certainly do it now. As Professor Elie Wiesel said, we don't have to replicate the accomplishments of the survivors. We just need to let them inspire us to be who we are. If you're Jewish, I urge you, be careful, but do not be afraid. Defending your full humanity is worth an uncomfortable conversation or situation. The Holocaust taught us so many things about the worst in people and the dangers of silence and apathy. But it also showed us that Jewish people persevered, they resisted, and they did not lose who they were. And importantly, it showed us also that when non-Jews show up for us, the world is a better place for everyone. And that's the world I want my daughter to grow up in. That's the world I want my daughter to grow up in, and the Florida Holocaust Museum is helping build that world inside and outside its walls. Over the past several years, you have seen that actively combating contemporary anti-Semitism has become an increasingly important part of the museum's activities. Like tonight's theme of Illuminate, the museum's focus on Holocaust education has provided a strong foundation for the work that matches the second part of our theme, advocate. Both pillars are absolutely critical to our mission, and the survivors live on when we do it, and the victims. It's important for Holocaust education to address the Holocaust place as part of the global history of anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism did not begin in the 1930s and clearly did not stop at the end of World War II. Jew hatred has been around for millennia, and Hitler packaged it in a way that culminated in the Holocaust. But there's another element that many who learn about the Holocaust miss. They learn how Jews died, but not how Jews live, which makes Holocaust history feel less relevant today. And if you're unfamiliar with Jewish life, you may not even recognize anti-Semitism, let alone be able to fight it. So when we reopen the museum, and it's coming soon, you'll see an increased emphasis on Jewish life and culture. We want visitors, regardless of their heritage, to leave feeling informed and empowered to make change right now. And when I think about empowerment, I think of my grandfather. He saved his family, he joined the resistance against the Nazis, and eventually helped bring Jewish orphans to the land of Israel after the war. I used to ask him how he did it, and he said, with his European accent, "What else would I have done? I did what I had to do." He didn't think of himself as a hero. He just felt a responsibility to do what he could in the moment. And that's something we can all do. Which brings me to my hopes for my daughter and for the next generation. It's a wonder that someone like me, who wouldn't exist but for the acts of others, could even bring a 4G into the world. After several significant challenges, the fact that my wife Melanie ultimately got pregnant was the first miracle. I have no shot about making it through this part, by the way, just so you know. Then, during labor, complications emerged that endangered both Melanie and our baby. I almost lost both of them at the same moment. The question of seeing our daughter for the first time kept arising while Melanie was in the intensive care unit and our daughter was in the NICU. I wouldn't let go of Melanie's hand, and I felt strongly that our first moment as a family needed to be ours. I would not see our daughter by myself. It was then that at the darkest moment of my life that the universe had one more miracle in store for us. My phone rang. The voice was Mara DeBartolomeo, MD, a fellow grandchild of survivors and the daughter of former board chair Irene Weiss, and Mara's right over there. She said, "Mike, I'm Emily's NICU doctor, and I saw your name on her chart. What can I do?" And when I told Mara we hadn't yet met our baby, Mara brought her phone to our baby's bedside, and we saw our baby for the first time on FaceTime. I waived my HIPAA rights, just so you know. When I saw Mara as our daughter recuperated in the NICU over the coming days, I couldn't help remark to her that if not for the Danish fishermen and the rescue boats like Thor, which saved Mara's grandparents, and people like the Garulas who saved mine, Mara wouldn't have been my daughter's doctor, and Emily Igel wouldn't be here. And if any of you are wondering whether standing up for others matters, you don't have to wonder anymore. And as she grows up, I'll do all in my power to ensure Emily feels pride in being who she is, in being Jewish. I'll tell her she's part of a set of traditions that have gone on for centuries. Traditions that are so important that even at the world's worst time for Jewish people, our people held on to them to their last breath. It's why the hostages still celebrate the Sabbath in captivity in Gaza. The Holocaust taught us that even when your freedom is taken, when your life is taken, no one can take your soul and no one can take your identity. And if that doesn't give you pride in who you are, then nothing will. And I will tell her, "Emily, you're living proof of our power to make a world better. So many people before you did extraordinary things so you could be here, and one day it's going to be your turn. and you'll do great things in their memory. As Professor Wiesel said, if the victims and survivors had the strength to write their stories, then we must have the courage to read them. And that is what the victims and the survivors deserve, because when we fight on their behalf, they live on, and they are victorious. Holocaust education and memory are at a crossroads right now. Last week marked the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, and even the youngest Holocaust survivors are nearing 90 years old. We must confront questions many thought we'd never face. Will the Holocaust and its lessons become history? Will the victims, survivors, and liberators fade into oblivion? Will they become statistics? Will the anti-Semitism that destroyed millions of lives be allowed to flourish? Our actions determine the answers to those questions. The Holocaust showed us how to brew the lingering poison of anti-Semitism, but more importantly, it showed how any one of us can make the antidote. We all know what to do, and now it's time for our actions to match our understanding. Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, understand that Mike talked there about actions, and the actions having to back up the words. And that's what this part of the program asks us to do. This part of the program is called the Gifts from the Heart. And in the Gifts from the Heart, there's no prizes, there's no auction items. It's simply asking you to donate from the bottom of your heart. The way it works is I call out some donation levels, and as I call out the donation level that you're willing to contribute tonight, you raise your bitter paddle high up in the air like this. We're going to start with some numbers that are a little bit high, but then we're going to work our way down, and our goal is to have 100% participation from everyone in the room. Actions. Actions are what Mike asked for. Actions is what Tal-Or said was necessary. Actions are what the Rubin family brought to the Florida Holocaust Museum, and now I ask you to do the same thing. Our goal over the next 7 or 8 minutes here is to raise $300,000 for the Florida Holocaust Museum. It's a big number, but I believe this room can do it. Understand the name of this event is To Life, and we all know that life is represented by Chai, which is 18. So we start tonight's gift from the heart. Our ask this evening for anyone who likes to donate, who wants to donate double Chai or higher. Is there a $36,000 donor in the room to kick things off this evening? Understand at $36,000, what you do is you offset technology to provide online searchable databases of artifacts from the museum's collection. So important. Anyone at $36,000 or more? Where are my donors for the Florida Holocaust Museum at $25,000 this evening? Is there a $25,000 donor willing to put up their paddle at $25,000 or $18,000, that high number? Anyone at $25,000 this evening? You know, people often say to me, Jason, aren't the awkward pauses during the bid from the heart difficult? And I'll be honest with you, they're not. Because there are people in this room right now with their hand on their paddle and they're waiting for their number to be called. I ask you during those moments of silence to think, can you stretch to get to some of these bigger numbers? Anyone at 18,000 or more? By the way, hold on. Good things happen when Anita tries or stands up with her hand in the air at this part of the program, right? Hold on. Anita, you got an announcement for us? The Weinstock family, who couldn't be here tonight, are donating $18,000 to the Florida Holocaust Museum. How about that, Susan and Stephen Weinstock? And I will tell you, so many people oftentimes donate at levels like that. And you all have heard this before, right? They'll only give their $18,000 if what? If others will match them. Well, if I may paraphrase for the Weinstocks, and I'll do it because they're not here, They did not say they needed a match. They said they believe in the mission of the Holocaust Museum to the tune of $18,000. Now, who's with them? Who will follow their lead? There we go, bidder 404 at $18,000. I love to see that. The Ben Stocks, bidder 530 is in at $18,000. I love to see that. Who else at 18 or more? Anyone else at $18,000 or more? We're watching that tally grow on our screens right there. Anyone at high or higher, 18,000 or more? We'll keep moving on. The next level we'll call is $10,000 for the Florida Holocaust Museum. Who's in at $10,000 who will get us started here? Who's my spotter in this area right here who can blow a whistle really loud for me? You blow the whistle for me and celebrate? Let's do it. 319 is in at $10,000. 354 at $10,000. 221 is a $10,000 donor. 254. I want to hear whistles all around the room. Let's go. 478 at $10,000. 555 is a $10,000 donor. Let's keep those applause going. Let's go. 190 at $10,000. 520 at $10,000. I'd love to see that. Who else? 386. They're raising it together. I'd love to see that too, right? 386 is a $10,000 donor as well. Anyone else at $10,000? The impact you make at that level, understand that you offset technology to preserve Holocaust survivor testimonies. We all have seen at the museum where you get a chance to understand and hear it directly from a survivor. That $10,000 helps fund that. Anyone else at $10,000? Where are my donors at $5,000 for the Holocaust Museum? Who's in at $5,000? Here we go. 127 at $5,000. Thank you. 208 at $5,000. Thank you. 407 is a $5,000 donor. 475 at $5,000. Thank you. 404 at $5,000. Thank you. 238. Thank you. 220 is a $5,000 donor. See, Matt, I need you to turn it that way. 502, the Silvermans are in. Thank you. 136 at $5,000. Thank you. 309, 316, 318, all at $5,000. 407 is a $5,000 donor. I'm coming to this side of the room, I promise. Here we go. 187 at $5,000. Thank you. 535 at $5,000. Thank you. Stop shaking it. Thank you. 556 at $5,000. We'll keep going. Let's get those applause going again. I'd love to see these all coming in, right? 162 at $5,000. 329 is a $5,000 donor. Who else at $5,000 did I miss? There's one right back there. Does that say 460 at $5,000? Thank you for your donation. Here's another one, 583 at $5,000. Thank you. Who else at $5,000? Anyone else at that $5,000 level? And believe me, I see what's happening here on the screen, but we're not going to celebrate for 1 second till we're all finished, right? Anyone else at $5,000? I can tell you as well, Deborah and Jody Berner made a $5,000 donation this evening. Henry Maller made a $6,000 donation this evening as well. So thank you to the Berners and, of course, Henry Maller. Anyone else at $5,000? What I will tell you all right now is not going to make one person donate, but I will tell you that all of our spotters, our volunteers, our staff around the room are handing out heart necklaces to everyone who donates in tonight's Gift from the Heart. Our goal is to light up this entire room with heart necklaces, so please, if you didn't get one, please flag them down and get one for you. The next level down we'll call is the $2,500 level. Who's in at $2,500? Here we go, 320 at $2,500. Call before you dig. 211 is in at $2,500. 253 at $2,500. 373, thank you. 204, thank you. 152 is in at $2,500. 308 at $2,500. 469 is a $2,500 donor. 589 at $2,500. 447 is a $2,500 donor. Thank you. Oh, my old area code in New York. Bidder 212 is in at $2,500. 565 is in at $2,500. Anyone else at 2,500? Here's one over here. 207 is in at 2,500. Is that say 545? 545 is in at 2,500. Thank you. Anyone else at 2,500? We'll keep working our way down. And again, we love the 18. We love the tie-in to life. We love Chai, right? Where are my donors at $1,800 for the Holocaust Museum? Here we go. 205. 200 at 1,800. 112 at 1,800. Ooh, my favorite band. 311 is in at 1,800. 234 is in at 1,800. 196, thank you. 322, thank you. The most nonchalant donation of the night, but we'll take it no matter how high you hold it. 550 is in at 1,800. 130 at 1,800. 537 at 1,800. 175, thank you. 156, thank you. 553, thank you. 157 is in at 1,800. 387 at 1,800. Who did I miss? Anyone else at 1,800 before we move on? Where are my donors at $1,000 for the Holocaust Museum? Here we go. 241 at 1,000. 544 at 1,000. My old area code in Syracuse. 315 is in at 1,000. 189 at 1,000. 531 is a $1,000 donor. 525. 236. 454 at 1,000. 153 at 1,000. 573 is a $1,000 donor. 547 in at 1,000. 458 is a $1,000 donor. 465, thank you. 219 at 1,000. 233 at 1,000. Folks, the beauty of this is I'm getting tired, but that means good things are happening. Let's go. 337 at 1,000. 397 at 1,000. Thank you. 391 at 1,000. Heart necklaces to everyone who's donating. Let's sprinkle the room with them. 585 at 1,000. 542 at 1,000. Thank you. 177 is in at $1,000. 367 at 1,000. Oh, I love this section right here. Although if you guys could have just all got together, 10 of you at $1,000, I could have called one number at 10,000. But we'll go this way anyway. All of these are $1,000 donations. You ready to go? Let's do it. 495 at 1,000. 482 at 1,000. 310 at 1,000. So good things happen again when the board chair comes up. Can I announce that out loud? Yes. All right. Tony Igel, Lynn and Tony Igel are in at 3,600. So if we can write them down at 3,600. So thank you for that. Here we go. I'm getting back to my $1,000 donors right now. Here we go. 155 at 1,000. 591 is a $1,000 donor. 563, 209, 137, 128. Tony Rindy holding up her paddle back there. Tony and John Rindy bidder 120 at $1,000. Thank you. 218, 122. Alyssa, if you got to go on the back of the paper, you go on the back of the paper. This is awesome, right? 536 at 1,000. 131 at 1,000. 341, thank you. 522, thank you. 521, all of these at $1,000. 562, thank you. 470, 191, thank you. 176 is a $1,000 donor. 353 is a $1,000 donor. Whose number didn't I call yet? That one right there, 539 at 1,000. Anyone else at 1,000? We'll keep working our way down. Where are my donors at $500 for the Florida Holocaust Museum? Who's in at 500? Here we go. 529, thank you. 552, thank you. 347, thank you. My old area code in Washington, D.C., 202 is a $500 donor. 161, thank you. 327, thank you. 558 at 500, thank you. 567 is a $500 donor. 572 is a $500 donor. 568, thank you. 543, thank you. 125 is a $500 donor. 119 is a $500 donor. 459 is a $500 donor. Hold on one second. 383, thank you. 523, thank you. 598, thank you. No, don't walk away. I was just coming over to you now. What do you got? All right, so if you don't have a paddle, you have to do it when you check out. Next time, we hope you'll get a paddle on your way into a charity fundraiser. 210 at 500, 349 at 500, 174 is a $500 donor, 199 at 500, 216 at 500, 346 at 500, 154, thank you, 129, thank you. I love it. Anyone else at $500 before we move on? All right. Where are my donors at $250 for the Florida Holocaust Museum? 527 at $250. 546 at $250. 359, thank you. 214. 479. 159. 158. 230. 368. 369, 528, all of these at 250. 237, thank you. 366, thank you. Have them turn it towards me, please. 359 at 250. 244 at 250. Does that say 466? 466, thank you. 462, thank you. 559, thank you. All right, we have one more level we're going to call. And folks, if you can hang with me for about another 3 minutes till the end of the program, we would appreciate that. Let me make sure everyone knows how this last level is going to call. Hold on, let me just call this out. I hear you. Let me just call this out. Because we have the $100 level that we're going to call. But here is how we're going to take our $100 donations. It's different than we've done it in the past. If you would like to donate $100, all you have to do is turn in your bidder card to the nearest volunteer or spotter holding their light stick above their head. We're going to collect as many bidder cards as we can, all of them at one. Start moving. Now, my spotters should all be moving around collecting bid numbers now, because we're going to collect all of them. We're going to bring them up here to the front of the room, and we're going to pick one at random to win a 3-day, 2-night stay right here at the Vinoy. If you would like to donate $100, raise your bidder paddle up in the air. We're going to bring them all to the front of the room, and we're going to pick one at random to win a 3-day, 2-night stay right here at the Vinoy. And listen, this is a fun way to end the program, so how about we have a little fun music? Ready, set, go. Let's go. Bring them all up to the front of the room. Let's go. Let's go. One person for $100 is going to win a stay here at the Vinoy. Who's got it? We got about 30 seconds left. Do I see any other bidder paddles up in the air? Here we go. Hold them up in the air. Here we go. We got about 20 seconds. If you got paddles in your hair, bring them to the front of the room. If you have paddles in your hand, start walking to the front of the room now. We're about to wrap this up. Last call. 10 seconds. Here we go. 5 seconds. Stephanie's getting the last one put in the box. We got a beautiful basket for that. Here we go. I'm going to pick a winner. Are we waiting on any more else to come up here? Come on, you got to move quick. Got to move quick. Let's go. Here we go. The last ones are coming up. Now, the trick is going to be, do you remember your bidder number? If you don't, you're going to have to go to checkout on the way out to find out if you won. What I will tell you before I pick a winner is what we have here is probably about $6,000 in $100 donations there. I love to see that, right? So what I will tell you, Stephanie, you want to pick it? You pick it. Stephanie was trained by the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. We're fine, right? So the winner of the 3-day, 2-night stay at the Vinoy, do you remember if you were bidder number 550? Right here, we got a winner right there, 550. So I think Stephanie's going to bring your prize. But more importantly, look what we just did. We raised $445,236. I love to see that. Great things happen. I will also tell you that I have the privilege now of announcing the winners of our 2 drawings. Those drawings were, if you remember, we had the wine package, the 36 wines. The winner of that, and if this person is in this room, I want her whole table to stand up and give me an all right. Where's Emily Lisher? Is Emily over here? All right. Well, Emily, you won. We also have our Dine Around Town package. I'd love this table to give me an all right. Where's Kristen Johnson? All right, so Kristen, if you go to checkout, they'll have your package for you there at checkout. I will tell you, if I didn't call your number, or if I called your number and for whatever reason you didn't want to raise your paddle, please stop at the checkout table on your way out, make your donation. You can also make your donation through your phone using that link you got when you checked in. Now, as we tally up the final numbers, I will tell you this. We want to thank our valet sponsor, the Motor Enclave. We want to thank our dessert sponsor, the Raisin Rowdies Foundation. We want to thank the Coffee, Water, and Sweets to Go. That's Behar, Patronish Architecture and Interiors. Those are all waiting for you on your way out. There is no reason to rush out because we got much more fun to happen in this room right now. But to close out the program, I'm going to bring Mike, Dana, and Andrea back up onto the stage with me one more time. So I think Mike's coming up here. Mike, you're up. We're getting some final numbers here. All right, so they're crunching the numbers here so we can get our total funds raised so that they can announce that to you all and do our official goodbye and good night. So what I would ask you to do is understand that we've got this last part of the program left. This last part of the program that I'm going to ask for the attention up here on the stage one more time from you all, the last time of the night, but I think it's only appropriate for our interim CEO, the chairs of our event. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage one more time, Mike Igel, Dana Justus, and Andrea Silverman. So, as they come up to the stage, I would ask you all again, respectfully, if we could have complete silence in the room as they wrap things up. If anyone around you is talking, if you could turn to them and just give them a polite Folks, we need 60 more seconds of your time. It's been a glorious evening, and we want to wrap it up by telling you all you had to do, all that went into tonight, and the total funds raised for this evening, and a good night from our chairs.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here tonight, for your incredible generosity. Your contributions ensure that the Florida Holocaust Museum can continue its vital work, preserving the lessons of the Holocaust, standing as a powerful force against hatred and intolerance, and educating future generations.
Because of your support, we are thrilled to announce that the grand total raised this evening is $1.2 million. Together, thank you all. Together, we are making a profound impact on the fight for justice and empathy.
As we leave tonight, may we all be inspired to carry forward the museum's mission and inspire the next generation to uphold the values of respect, compassion, and justice. And let us ensure that the lessons of the Holocaust continue to guide us toward a more inclusive and a better future. Thank you all so much, and good night.